All right, welcome back, everyone. It is not Monday. My normal guest, Cody Davis, we had to reschedule. So today is Thursday. We're going to catch up with everyone. So welcome back, man.
Hey, made it.
Yeah, I know. I think things are picking up for you. Seems like I've seen a lot of your videos recently. I don't know. Before we dig into maybe the main topic of some of your more recent videos, you did have a reel on Instagram, right? Kind of some craziness going on in your area. You want to touch on that real quick?
I was out of town. I was in Chicago visiting a capital partner and a friend. And I get back, I receive a call from my manager of something that they handled. And so I ended up having to handle it myself. But basically, what happened is a resident tenant living in one of my buildings invites someone over. That someone kicks this individual out. And the individual is not able to get back in because they changed the lock. They don't give a key, all that fun stuff. And so the cops, what I was told is the cops said, hey, it's a civil matter because they invited them in and you have to evict them. And so an eviction is going to cost like $3,000 to $4,000. So I put it into Chat GPT and I was like, I don't believe this is a civil matter. What did this individual violate? And it was like a illegal lockout, and it listed out a whole bunch of stuff. So I called the cops and we got it resolved. So I don't have to do the eviction. But that ChatGPT AI is incredible because I can give it the situation and it spit out the RCWs that individual violated and why it wasn't actually a civil matter. And it told me what to say, and I said it, and things are handled. So that's over. But if you want to see that, it's on my Instagram.
Yeah, you looked very upset at the moment.
I was just like, what are we doing? This is the dumbest stuff ever. I can revoke access if I invite you in and you make me mad. Like I can tell you to leave. That's crazy.
Yep. So I know on Dion's live stream, he was also talking about he's really, I mean, I don't know how serious, but he mentioned that, he's looking at other areas possibly. I believe it was Tennessee, Utah, and Texas might be places. But yeah, I don't know how serious he is. And it seems like you at some point you have a breaking point also, maybe. I'm not sure. But yeah,
No,
let's dig.
I'm hanging on. The thing is, things appreciate consistently. And if you're in a position where you can cash flow and you can wait, and you're in a market that has a lot of regulation that continues to have price increases, like that's worth holding on to. So I just have to make sure I can manage my liquidity because if my liquidity gets too low for an extended period of time, then I will be forced to sell and go to a more friendly area because you can't just keep handling 4,000 after 4,000 after 4,000 for evictions and regulation, like dealing with that. If you can't afford to hold on, then I'm going to have to be forced to sell at a discount and take the money and go elsewhere.
Yeah, I think Jason Hartman just did a video kind of discussing what Kevin O'Leary has been talking about, Mr. Wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
about, yeah, there's some places you just maybe buy, it might be better to keep the property vacant. You buy it, it's not worth dealing with the tenant or, tenant regulations in that area, but the appreciation is so well, you just almost sit on it and let it be vacant. And that's how, but you have to be in that position, like you're saying. But you did come out with some great videos this past week. A lot of it was kind of, I think one was my favorite new discovery, right? So kind of maybe touch on that one a little bit. And I think that's the main focus of simplify to win, right?
Was that the one about my tax filings being easier?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little longer to remember because it's not Monday. So that was a nice discovery. When it comes to doing taxes in the past, I have been the point of contact to handle the books because we being my past partners and I hire a bookkeeper and then they'd bill us and they would produce either nothing or produce terrible books that are wrong. So every year we try it and then I'd be the one that have to play catch up. And so I did all the books for every LLC just about. And this year I didn't have a whole lot to do. I mean, I got my personal stuff, which is 70% of the portfolio. And then I got a couple small partnerships, like a 13 unit and a 6 unit and an 8-plex. But other than that, I mean, that stuff's pretty simple. So I had a lot less to do this year. That was pretty nice. And I didn't think about that until I got there.
Yeah, definitely. I think sometimes we think that scaling makes things easier, right? Bigger is the goal, but we don't realize a lot of times the other added things that it brings to the table, like you're talking about your taxes, your filing, even keeping track of insurance policies, and all these different type of things. So sometimes you got to step back and see what is the end goal. And actually, we had a great discussion on Tuesday with Brandon and Gus was on, and he had a post in school recently talking about some of the challenges that's going on. I mean, I wouldn't say challenges, but just how, the typical ebbs and flows of real estate, right? And, we were kind of, Gus, I mean, I think if you step back, I've never really heard you say what your end goal was, right? So sometimes you keep hustling and grinding, but there's no end goal because you haven't really talked about it or discussed it, right? And I think for you, and I said, and I brought up your name, I think on that post, I said you kind of remind me of where Cody was a few years ago, where you're just going, 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 and now that you kind of took a step back and saw things, you're like trying to simplify things, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to simplify stuff. I mean, it's fun to grow into infinity, but if you don't know what you truly want, you're going to make decisions differently than if you do. If you don't know what's the first stopping point, because the first stopping point doesn't have to be the end. But I was just growing to grow to grow to grow, and I ended up taking on projects that made no sense for the portfolio.
Yeah. Hyder says he digs the shirt, Cody.
Yeah, I'm reading some of the comments.
Yeah, that's all right.
I bet I have more real estate than that guy.
Yeah. No, this is live. I'm not sure if he may prefer certain things, so that's why he might bounce off. But um, Flavio does say also he's dealing with the city. He said they don't know. I guess maybe they don't know the new regulations. He's saying so that's the challenge he's facing.
Yeah, cities aren't always up to date on stuff. I mean, it's not like it's the city is the end all be all know it all. They are people working for the greater good of a location. So they're not always going to be more educated than the people who actually do the research themselves privately.
Yeah, so I see Justin Canberra tuning in from your channel. So like Justin and Cody do live streaming on Wednesdays, also at 8 a.m. Pacific. And I think Justin was also someone I tagged on that on my reply to Gus in his post in school. And I said, you kind of remind me of where Cody and Justin were a few years ago, where they were going, 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 building, 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 and they kind of took a step back and were like, why am I doing a lot of these extra things when maybe if I scaled back, I'd be where I really wanted to be to some extent, right? If you had to summarize your last few years, Cody, in one sentence, what would it be, though?
Last couple of years were all about consolidating what I thought I wanted into what I really want. That's the bottom line. I built a big business, about 30 million in real estate, and I've since consolidated it about half. So and this is beyond the one sentence, of course, but went from about 30 million. At the end of this year, I'll probably be back between 20 and 25 on my schedule of real estate. But that'll be mine. The 30 was split up amongst partners. So I scaled back to get it simple. And once it's simple, it's scalable, and then that makes it repeatable. So that's been the last couple of years.
I think for you too, you're also trying to transition a little bit to newer things, right? Would you say maybe simple is? I mean, if you had to pick, would it be like less properties or just newer things? What would probably make it more simple for you?
Less moving parts. So I own apartments, rental houses, buildable dirt, motels, resort. I don't know if I mentioned RV park, but I own a whole bunch of different assets. That's not simple. So it's not about having less stuff. Maybe it's just about having less moving parts, having less different types of assets in the portfolio. Now I have developable land, which is getting built out. I have apartments and a couple commercial spots, like mixed use. That's it. I'm not doing a whole bunch of extra stuff. So that's made it easier just to focus on, okay, I could just focus on filling the apartments because all the commercial spaces are filled and breaking ground on the development. So like the GC's handling that. I just have to make sure the financing comes through. It's like there's very linear tasks. If I knock this out and this out and this out, I have the end product rather than all the chaos that was going on in my universe.
And kind of there was an interesting post also in school. Zuber's been talking to Real Bricks, a fractional real estate provider, and he had a post about it. And it's a great way, I think, for people to somewhat invest in real estate, kind of understand markets, understand kind of analyzing properties. But someone, I think they're a CPA actually, they brought up a kind of an interesting point. They were kind of like, I'm not sure this is for everyone because I think tax wise, you might start getting all these K1s and these little distributions and how to handle that. So it's almost like you're making a lot more work for yourself to some extent. So I found that as I never heard anyone come from that standpoint of it, of you almost like making all this extra work for yourself to some extent. So that was interesting to see also.
Yeah, it's not worth it. I mean, the whole point of this is to be able to walk away from whatever you have to do and do what you want to do. I never heard anybody say, I want to work on K1s and I want to work on bookkeeping and I want to manage all these businesses. Yet I watch people online say, look at how busy I am. I have all these businesses. I don't have a job. Stupid.
Yeah. I'm not, I don't know if this is ever in your business plan, but Elliot is asking, what do you guys think about buying a strip club? But
go for it. If you got the money or you got the debt, I mean, absolutely. If you think it's going to work for you, it's not my business, but you know what? If you want to make it yours, I wouldn't start one. I think he asked if you should start one or buy one.
Yeah.
There's plenty of businesses out there of every type. There's no reason to start a new one. Just buy an existing that's profitable with upside. So like in that, how could you increase the profitability? What kind of services would you have to add to bring in more revenue?
Yeah.
It's another business. But if that's what you want to be known for, there's people that make a lot of money doing that.
And then I would, now that I think about it, like a lot of them I see, they've been around for years. I mean, I don't know if it's the same owner, right? But I mean, there's some that I've probably when I was, so probably 30, 40 years at least I know they've been in business. Let's see. Would you say most investors confuse growth with progress?
Well, it depends what the goal is. Growing could be progress if that is your goal. But if you're progressing towards something, you're getting closer to it. And if you're trying to create a simpler life, then growth might not be progress. If you want to build a bigger financial universe where you can control more money, more assets, and do more things, then growth it would be progress. But you can be getting bigger financially and getting farther away from your goal, to be very clear. I've done that before. Controlled way more assets, but my goal of simplicity and having free cash flow and time, I was getting further from that.
Charles McCune, who's putting something together as a special for the teenagers at the One Rent at a Time event. Since Cody has not wrote his book yet, Charles is donating or giving away One Rent at a Time Audible books, I believe, for the teenagers that are going to sit down with Cody Davis. So he's giving them a little something that maybe that they can take home and listen to and whatnot. So it's his.
That's cool.
Yeah, since Cody hasn't wrote his book yet.
Well, look at that. We lost him.
Oh, there you are. We're back. I don't know why it keeps happening nowadays. I don't know why. It's a coconut wireless going on. Let's see. So also your other video, like I said, it's been a while since we had to skip Monday. We pushed it back to Thursday. The other one I enjoyed was Success Leaves Clues, right? You're walking around in one of these nice properties you had, and you're talking about how maybe sometimes people don't realize how well they're doing on this journey right now, right?
Yeah, you should. Well, it's not about me, but about other people. If you are making progress, you should be able to see a notable difference to where you started and where you're at. And if you can't, and unfortunately, I see people on my Facebook timeline that they have the same exact problems today that they had 5 years ago. And they set out goals of making progress, and they're just dealing with the same stuff. Nothing's new, which nothing against them. But they're not making any notable progress. They're dealing with the same issues over and over. And maybe it's just a matter of circumstance or life events or challenges or something. You never know anything about a person unless they tell you. Like it's impossible to know everything. But they're not advancing. If you're making progress in business and you're doing the right thing every day, your odds are you're going to be able to see some type of difference. And if you don't, success leaves clues. I'm not the one who coined that. Definitely not. Heard that plenty of times before, but it's true. And so it's the little things. And I think one of the talking points on that is 5.5 years ago when I bought my second 12plex, I was putting a key code lock. You punch it on the keypad and it'll open the deadbolt. And I was putting that on my rundown 12plex that I bought. It was a big fixer upper. That was the nicest piece of technology, and it was like $80 because that's the only one I could afford. And I was installing it at this place that was run down and awful. Had bed bugs, had cockroaches, and since then I've gotten rid of all those. But now I was doing that at a million plus property that I own by myself with my wife. It's like the scene has changed, even though the tasks are relatively the same. So you should be able to see notable progress on an annual basis, 2-year basis, 5-year, whatever it is. You shouldn't be just doing the same thing in the same environment over and over and over for a long period of time. And if you catch yourself doing that, which is okay, it happens, then you might need to switch it up if you don't like where you're at. And that was the point of that video.
Um, I don't know if you haven't. This individual, Elliot, I guess we skipped over his question. He was saying, I was asking about how big my basement should be to keep 10 to 15 3-foot tall and about 60 to 70, maybe some even 100-pound chickens.
There's this thing called Chat GPT,
Yeah.
and when I have questions like that, I throw it in there. That would be my recommendation.
Yeah. So, well, on that point, so you prefer Chat GPT? Is that the AI that you use?
That's what I use.
Yeah, I like ChatGPT, and Grok has been working well also. I didn't care for Grok for a little while because I couldn't use my audio. Like it would cut off. You'd have to type everything in.
Oh,
But I think now they've updated it so it doesn't cut off on you by audio. Hey, Trade Betters here from Virginia. We did have breaking news though. Cody was telling me before we went live though, right, on why Bitcoin is crashing right now, right? What was your thoughts on that, or what did you want to
oh
tell
yeah,
everyone?
it crashed because I bought $100 of it. And whenever I buy anything other than real estate, it goes down. That's just a fact of my life. So every time I buy stocks, it goes down. Every time I sell it, it'll go up. So I guess that's insider info. If I sell it, y'all need to buy it just right before.
I know. Hopefully, it doesn't go down too much because at that point, I'll have to find a new regular for my Saturday lives because I won't have Bitcoin weekly anymore on Saturday with Nick. So, but hopefully, it doesn't go down too much. But yes, we're still doing Saturday this week. I see
Well,
Jeff
my
tuning in. Oh, go ahead.
my Bitcoin friends, which I don't believe in it, but each their own. They said their support at 80,000. So if there'll be enough buying to prop it back up if it goes to 80. And then they said the same thing for 76. And they're like, it can't go below 76. And I woke up and I was like, oh, it's 74.8. Oh, it's at 72.2. Oh, now it's 68.
Yeah. Yeah. Shoot, I know Andrew Tate is saying it's going to 27K. Well, I mean, who knows? But at this point, but Harrison says, "Tell me your next trade, Cody. I'll buy options."
Oh boy.
I see Jeff tuning in. Jeff, I just want to let you know you sent me a video on your channel you just posted, but you have the comment sections turned off, so you're unable to put comments on your video. So, Jeff, you have to, when you upload videos, you have to leave the comments on. Let's see. Yep. Yasik says keep buying and let us know when you stop. I did. I had my regular recording with Zuber today, Thursday. There was a question that I brought up to him, and I'll bring it up to you because it was kind of, so this individual left a comment on one of Zuber's videos, and they were saying, I mean, they weren't bragging in any way, but they were basically saying, I'm financially free. I'm 38. I live off my rental income. I travel, play with my kids. My wife stays home. They were like, why should I join school? Or like, what can I don't? They're like, I don't buy rentals anymore. I don't flip homes. Like, why should someone like me join? What am I gonna get out of it? Like, and you're like, I feel like you're very successful. You're doing well, but you joined school, right? So, like, what would you tell someone if they ask, like, what's the reason for joining school, I guess?
I mean, there's the salesperson in me that would tell them something different than I'm about to say. Because you can sell anybody on anything. I mean, that's, you know what to say and how to position it. You can get anybody hyped about something. But the real answer is if you're so financially well off and you're not closed off to the idea of self-discovery and learning something, why wouldn't you spend $20? If you're good, you're not going to buy anymore. Why wouldn't you do it anyway, just to see? Because like it's $20, right? I mean, when's the last time you blew $20? Especially if you own rentals and you're financially free, you're probably at the point where you're spending 5 figures a month between mortgages, taxes, insurance, utilities. Like and then personal, you're probably spending multiple 5 figures a month. Like what's the difference? So that's what I would personally say outside of like the salesperson mode is just, if it doesn't matter anyway, try it out. I did it and I'm still just on auto pay because it's like it doesn't materially matter when you're financially free. But if they want to go on a self-discovery journey, they would. And if they don't care, just keep doing what you're doing. But I don't know why they'd be watching one rental at a time's channel if they're content with where they're at.
Yeah. I think a lot of Zuber's response was kind of, look at it more of what you can give back, right? Or give to the community, or you could help someone that's maybe where you were 5 years ago, right? And my 2 cents on it was kind of like, it's my way to give back to Zuber and support him. And I think a lot of us, we follow him daily, we love his content, but at the same time, he's financially well off to where he could just be like, I don't want to do this. There's no need for me to do this anymore, right? So I think for me, it's coming from where, like, I just want him to know that people do appreciate his hard work and what he does every day. And I think he enjoys, probably, I know he doesn't need to, but I'm sure he enjoys when people join. He sees, oh, I got 5 new members today, right? So I think for me, it's kind of like, hey, that's my way to give back to you, that you're doing a lot and helping a lot of people, and just $20 a month, like you're saying, right? It's I mean, I don't want to say it's nothing, but for a lot of people, it probably won't affect them very much, especially if they're, like you're saying, if they're financially free or something, right?
Yeah. And also, I haven't met a ton of very well off people that have felt the need to put that type of stuff in a comment.
Good point. Yeah.
Not saying that about that individual. I didn't even read the comment, but just putting that out there. I haven't really met anybody that's felt the need.
And Charles, this actually was my first thought. And Charles, this was actually my first thought when I did see that comment. Though Charles is saying they shouldn't sound like they got nothing to give. So on like that actually was my first thought when I did read that comment. Josh Burdick says, "ORAT is a great community of harassing go givers." I don't know what you're talking about, Josh. Uh, but yeah, like I said, the event is right around the corner. I think everyone is excited to see you kick it off. A lot of teams. So we did like I said, we did a live stream on last Saturday with Curtis, PE turned RE, and we had Adam. Adam Dutter was on, Alex's son, and he's going to be one of the individuals taking advantage of Zuber's generosity, one of the free tickets. He's going to have a chance to speak with you. I mean, are you preparing anything for the teenagers, or is this kind of free flowing and whatever they kind of questions they bring up?
I don't think preparing content is going to be received any better than it would be at a school. People are already over school, so I don't want to prepare a lesson for them. I don't think that is going to be valuable. I have a feeling what'll be most valuable is proposing ideas, like Dion would say, getting them to at least think and getting them to question daily life. Because if you don't question you just go through it day to day, you're subject to what everyone else imposes on you. So I want to get those individuals to start thinking for themselves if they aren't already.
Flavio, like I said, he's a sleeper. He's always working, hustling. He says, I sent a letter 3 years ago. An owner called me back a few days. It is ready to sell. Nice.
Sweet. Make it happen.
So like I said, we had a great conversation, me and Brandon with Gus, and it wasn't supposed to head in that direction, but it kind of got to a little where, maybe Gus would get a lot of to take away, spending some time with Dion or Coach Carson or, even yourself, kind of looking to kind of clean things up a little bit. But what's maybe the best advice you could give to someone who is scaling fast, kind of like Gus? And I don't think Gus is stuck, but I guess he's he got that chip on his shoulder, right? But what kind of advice maybe would you give to them?
Do it for yourself, not other people. For one, I've always, when I was building the portfolio, so I had the multifamily strategy business at that point in time. I had the property management business. We had the hotel. And so everything I was doing was just to feed the business at that point. I was growing it to grow it. Today, I'm building a life for my wife, for my family, future family. And it's really a period of like, okay, what do we need? What do we want for our family to never have to worry about it again? And forget about what everyone else wants for a moment. Like, we can do that thing again later. I already did that. So my recommendation for someone who's scaling fast is, if everything goes well, are you building the life you want to build? Because there's a chance that everything you're doing works. Doesn't work for everybody, but there's a chance that everything you do, you got the Midas touch, it'll turn to gold. It's not going to turn to gold the way you think it will, but you're going to get to the destination one way or another. So if everything worked out the way you're planning, are you going to get what you want? And if you can't honestly to yourself say, yes, I am, then you need to tweak it. And that's what I had to do. I had to have that conversation. Do I want to run a coaching company? Do I want to run a management company? Do I want to have a hotel? Like, it doesn't matter. I was never a kid and said, I want to own a hotel. Like, that was never spoken out of my mouth. So I adjusted. If everything worked out and everything made a bunch of money on those deals, like, that's not the life I set out to live. And so I changed.
And here comes Joe V complaining as usual. He comes in and says, hey guys, but he says he hates this layout. So Joe V is the one guy that doesn't like this format, like the way the screen appears. But when it's two guys, Joe, I like it better. It shows up much better on Instagram. Hey, Ryan's here. I always call him Rian. He always corrects me. It's Ryan. But I'm not sure. Ryan, are you going to be in Vegas? Let's see. Oh, Jason C is finally closing on his fourplex tomorrow. He said, and that's nice. And oh, Cody, you might. Josh is saying, who's watching Cody's dog when he's in Vegas? We're offering boarding in Spokane.
A friend.
All right. Jason C says he doesn't like it either. Oh, all
They
these
should go live then at this exact time so that they don't have to watch it.
Yeah, stop complaining, man. There's so much other stuff going on. It just doesn't affect you that much. Now, I just like it better because it's also easier to edit videos after this. Flavio says, Cody, I think millenniums and Gen X are the ones that need your advice at this age. Feels like we not reaching the goal. Interesting. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the advice, my perspective, is applicable to everybody if they want to use it. But if you're not getting what you want, then you need to change what you're doing or wait a really long time to get what you want. Because eventually, real estate will boost up and you'll be doing okay. But if you're not getting what you really want and the business you're building, example, if you need apartments to get where you want to go, or you need storage, or you need houses, if you're not buying what you need to get there, you got to make a change. And even if you're not getting the best return, by the way, I buy deals that will get me the best long-term benefit, even at the detriment of today's returns. So I'm willing to get a little lower return on brand new stuff today because I know it's the right thing to do to set up my family in the future. And if I keep buying the old stuff to get the higher return today, I'm going to have a monstrosity of a business that will hurt my family later. So you got to pick and choose what you want, but I choose for the long-term growth.
See what Joe V started. Now everyone is complaining about the format on YouTube this way. But I guess Elliot is getting upset that we're not answering his question. But he's talking about buying a private island where you can get 100% privacy and raise chickens, and what type of facilities it must have. Well, I think if you're in position to buy a private island, you probably can have people that can take care of the decision-making process for you, man.
There's an island in Moses Lake that I looked at buying. It was for sale privately. No utilities though, so it would just be dirt. But it was pretty big, and it was like $500,000. So on something like that, you'd have to buy it, probably owner contract or pay cash. I don't know of any banks that would finance that.
Oh, that's right. Ryan is saying he can't make it to Vegas this year, but he'll be at the next one. He said, you should have me on your show so I can talk about how to buy a house, rent house for years, not knowing what cash flow is, and fail to sell it. That's right. Are you still dealing with that? Yeah. He had this difficult, he has this difficult property that's been a nightmare for him. I forget where it was. Hey, shopping at Costco. See, exactly. Marlon RE says he's shopping at Costco and watching on his phone. He said the format is great on a phone. Exactly. Yes, but that is the one problem. Jason is saying it closes all the time when I touch the screen, like on YouTube, try to minimize it, and bam, it's gone. Yeah. Yeah, Ryan says he's still in that property. That's been a nightmare for him. Yeah. Anything else you want to touch on? Yeah, like your last two videos. I think.
Did you watch the Keeping Up with the Joneses video?
I did. Yeah, I did. Like I said, we're kind of what was out? Yeah, I did watch it. You want to touch on that one a little bit?
So that's about a property that I own, and I only bought out my partners because they said they couldn't afford to keep it themselves. I was willing to walk away for nothing. And so that didn't happen. They couldn't swing it, didn't want to swing it, whatever mix of the above. And so I ended up taking on the debt and the partnership obligations. And it's a beautiful property. It's 4,200 square foot, 7-bed, 4-bath shop that's over 1,000 square feet on acreage, corner lot. Like, it's a great property. But a lot of the neighbors for the properties adjacent are billionaires. So I'm the broke boy on the corner. However, I wish I didn't own it because it's just a big monthly payment. And so I have some reserves for it that are making that payment until I get the top rented out and get the shop rented out. There's another RV spot I'm going to rent out, and then it'll actually make some money. But there's people online that like to flex that they got cool stuff. That's my cool thing. It's a big house, but it's usually just a liability. A lot of people with nice cars, nice houses just have big payments that they have to keep up with, but they show you that they have it all and that you can too. And one of that video is not to believe that people that can show you cool things actually can afford to own cool things.
Yeah, and I think you kind of touched on it where you wouldn't have bought it, but you kind of did it to maybe simplify things at this moment, and now you're just trying to figure out how to maximize it, right? I think you're even thinking about doing events there or things like that, right?
Yep. I just want it to pay for itself. I'll revisit it in 5 to 10 years and go from there. I mean, it might be a property in 5 to 10 years I just pay off. It might be something I just liquidate and walk away. But if I could have just traded out of it for nothing, I definitely would have. I think that would have been a much simpler, more peaceful universe. So, you got all your dad's hair.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I did say that too. I think we were doing a recap on Zuber's video on the Pineda video, and I said, I'll be honest, if I had hair, I'd be coloring it like Pineda too. I'd have it like different colors to draw attention to it. But yeah, Josh is saying Lumberjack has streamed both formats, and yes, so Restream, which I use for live streaming, that is one of the features that they're supposed to come out with. It was supposed to be in December where you could stream in multiple formats. I think Lumberjack did his through StreamYard, but he also was doing it directly through YouTube. So I don't think it was an actual feature. And I think that's why it messed up his streaming where he had two streams going on at the same time on YouTube. Oh, Harrison has a great question. It says, what would be the item you guys would buy to spoil yourself?
Well, the item I will buy, there's a couple parameters. I've got a small fortune I have to pay off of debt before I can do this, and then I got to buy the house that we're going to live in on the west side. So a bajillion dollars later, I'm going to buy a nice car.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about it much. For me right now, it's going to be traveling. I mean, that's pretty much that's where I'm probably going to be spending my money is on more travels. It's not something I grew up with. I don't know. My parents were never into traveling, so it's not something. But as I'm getting older, it's something that I really want to do a lot more of. So I went to like Japan last year and things like that. So we'll be going to Japan again this year for. So I won't. So I'm definitely not going on the cruise that Dion is going on because that's when they're going to be in Japan for my son's school. So we're going to probably go to Okinawa first and then Japan. Well, yeah, he wants to go to Okinawa. I want to go to Tokyo and then where the school stuff is going to be. But he said he'd rather go to Okinawa. So that's probably what we're going to do. Yes, Charles. So there is well, he's a new member in school. I did interview him a while back. His name is Zach Shepard. He's in Virginia. So Chris Webb, who was in Virginia, introduced me to him. And yes, I feel like he's I guess he's like kind of like Cody Davis, the Cody Davis of a few years ago, but he probably has about 150 units already, a little bit of, DSCR, seller finance, creative financing. He had a goal of getting 100 units last year. I think he ended up with like 90, but he's at about 150. But as you mentioned that, Charles, he'll actually be live streaming with me tomorrow with Emily. Emily and Zach will be on tomorrow morning. Ivan is saying, any chance you have any news of the schedule, or is it a surprise? I know Cody is kicking off day one. Do you know anything else about the schedule? Has he sent you any formats of when people are speaking?
He mentioned who's kicking off each day and who's ending it, but other than that, I don't recall.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe it's constantly moving. Things are moving around because Zuber doesn't pay any of the speakers. So a lot of them I think are just coming and going and he's always moving things around to accommodate them. So I believe even that's why like Pace was supposed to, I think, finish day two, but now he's earlier and he has a 2-hour slot. I believe Jason Hartman requested to have his time moved. So I think he's around lunchtime on the first day. So as far as the speakers are moving around. I know Saturday it starts at 8. If you stay for the dinner, I believe it's 8 to, so it's going to be 8 to 8 on Saturday. I think the event itself ends at around 5, but then there's the dinner after on Saturday. Sunday, I think it starts at 8, but it ends at like 4:30. But people are helping clean up and stuff. So I mean, but you're not, you don't have to stay to clean up. But a lot of people stay to help put chairs away and help Zuber take things down. Oh, Flavio says a McLaren. That's his treat for himself. Oh, Bill says he got a trip to ORAT to spoil himself. Marlon RE says travel. Yeah, travel is great. I do not speak any Japanese. Josh. Ryan says Tom McKay was just on Zuber. I'm actually in his mentorship. I see them as two sides of the same coin. Perspectives on Tom's flip houses and buy commercial industry to pick up. Oh wait, perspectives on Tom's flip houses and buy commercial to pick up speed. What's your thoughts on that, Cody? Like people using flipping to accelerate maybe cash flow or income to invest and buy and hold, like kind of combine the two philosophies.
My experience is it's a distraction. I've done flips and made a good amount of money doing flips, but it is a distraction. So I would just focus on what your strategy is, become an expert at it. As the three amigos would say, get a lead at it, and then don't deviate. That's my 2 cents. And I've done flips where individual flips will make 6 figures. Never lost money on a flip to date. And it is a distraction. So I would get really good at the investing side of it and then forget about the extra stuff.
That I'll just put that was kind of a difficult video to watch. It was Tom is. I mean, I think Tom is great information and he's amazing at what he does, but it was just difficult. He was kind of all over the place in that video with Zuber, and a lot of it was talking about his mentorship, and a lot of times he wouldn't answer the question because he's like, I can't talk about that because that's in my mentorship, right? So, but as far as him, he was just all over all over that place in that live stream. So it was kind of challenging to follow along. Josh Burdick says, I hope Zuber is lying about Pace speaking for 2 hours and has a surprise speaker for an hour. Yeah, I don't know. 2 hours is a long time for one person to be on stage. Ryan says Tom is a different guy. Have you ever connected with Tom, Cody? Tom
No,
McKay? No?
I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know. I know he mentioned his YouTube channel got shut down or banned or something. So I don't know if it's back up, but he did mention on that video that it got taken down for some reason.
That sucks.
Yeah. Hold on. I gotta. Okay, no. My son is staying home from school. I guess he's sick, so I have to let the mom know. She dropped him off. All right, yeah. This is a fun one. Thanks for doing this. I know you were busy on Monday. I know you got a lot of stuff going on. When are you heading out to Vegas? Are you going to be
It'll be that Friday.
that Friday? Okay. I don't know. You want to do something Monday still yet, or
Cool.
okay? Everyone else? Hopefully this was a fun one. Yeah, we made up for missing on Monday. Like I said, catch Cody and Justin Canberra on Wednesdays. They are live streaming together at 8 a.m. Pacific time on both of their channels, and both of them will be in Vegas. Like I said, Cody's kicking off day one. Zuber said if you do have any teenagers, just bring them and they'll get a chance to sit down and are you planning to interview any of them? Because Zuber was hoping, right? Like you took advantage of the podcast studio and took some of their
Oh,
teenagers in
I'm
there.
sure I'll be in the podcast studio a bunch. I mean, if anybody wants to do anything, let's do it.
Well, I don't know. You want to give a sneak peek? Flavio is saying, any specific topic are you talking about in Vegas?
Yeah, I sent my presentation to Zuber like last week, so got in before the cutoff. Apparently, I was the first person to send it in.
What?
That's crazy.
Yeah, I would have thought Brandon would have been the first one.
It's about taking your next logical step in your 10-year journey, I'm going to be addressing the people that are in the 10-year journey specifically. For those who are past that, got more money than they need, good for them. But for the people that are still working towards that goal, and maybe their 10 years actually a 12 or a 15 year, or maybe you're just getting your next step, my goal is to be able to tailor fit the PowerPoint that I made to everybody that is somewhere between getting their first rental and I got a bunch of rentals, but I don't have freedom yet. Or that's time freedom, because you can have money freedom and not time freedom if you build a crazy business. I know people that make millions a year and they are tied down to the business they built, which is a tragedy.
And remember, everyone, this may be the only time you get a chance to see a prepared presentation from Cody Davis, right? He usually he said he respects Zuber enough to prepare something for this speaking event. So maybe the only chance to see that. I will be back tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be back with Zach Shepard. So if you want to know more about his story, I'll be live streaming with him and Emily. And hopefully I'll still have a Bitcoin on Saturday, which hopefully we can still have my weekly wrap up on Saturday. And hopefully Bitcoin is still around, so we can still do that. But everyone, thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you folks tomorrow. Thanks, Cody.
See ya.